Good morning. I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
The Senate's move to archive the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte continues to draw reactions from members of both the Senate and House of Representatives.
Vice President Sara Duterte appears in Davao, breaking her silence on the Senate's move to archive her impeachment case.
The Justice Department is looking to tap forensic experts to conduct DNA analysis on bones recovered from Taal Lake.
President Bongbong Marcos said he will convene a conference with key stakeholders to craft a clear government policy on online gambling.
First in the news, members of the Senate minority explained their vote on the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. Here's the report.
Senator Kiko Pangilinan is raising concerns over the Senate's decision to archive the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte, suggesting the move may have fallen short of its constitutional duty. In an interview with A Big Story, Pangilinan said the chamber should have waited for the Supreme Court to rule on the pending motion for consideration.
Talagang gigil na gigil tapusin. Nakakalungkot. We actually abdicated our constitutional mandate and duty to uphold and defend the Constitution as having the exclusive jurisdiction over the case.
Pangilinan also pointed out that the Senate did not convene as an impeachment court before making its decision, something he believes should have been done to ensure due process.
How can the Senate archive a complaint that was not referred to it? It was referred to this Senate impeachment court. Walang jurisdiction yung Senado in plenary sa impeachment complaint.
Senator Risa Hontiveros also questioned the urgency behind the move. Hontiveros told Storycon that the Senate should have acted as early as February when it was first transmitted by the House of Representatives. Hontiveros also stressed that the complaint is not necessarily over and could still be revived.
Definitely hindi pa patay yung impeachment complaint na iyan, naka-archive, ibig sabihin parang sa library kung naalala pa ng ating manonood, kumbaga naka-file away dun sa archives. Pero extra effort para lang hukayin yan at ilabas sa archive.
In 1PH's One Balita Pilipinas, Senator Ping Lacson, who abstained from the vote, said he's withholding judgment until the High Court issues a final ruling, out of respect for the judicial process.
Sa archive, nag-abstain ako kasi nga, lagi ko sinasabi na dapat igalang at sundin ang Korte Suprema. Teka muna, paano kung dumating ang panahon na halimbawa yung Supreme Court dahil sa MR, ni-reverse na lang sarili at sinabing pwede yung Senado na mag-proceed na mag-trial.
Senate Minority Leader Tito Soto, meanwhile, emphasized the importance of protecting the Constitution, regardless of political positions.
Talagang gusto lang nila na ma-dismiss eh. So, matter of fact, pagka yan nagkaroon ng motion to bring back from the archive, dahil let's say sabihin ng Supreme Court nag-reverse, tignan mo kung ilan na mag-o-object dyan. Ayaw lang nila. Ako naman, whether ayaw mo o gusto mo, preserve the Constitution.
Now, several members of the House of Representatives have criticized the Senate's decision to archive the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. Representatives Laila de Lima and Percy Sendanya questioned the Senate's urgency in setting aside the complaint, especially with the Supreme Court still deliberating on a motion for reconsideration filed by the House. House Speaker Martin Romualdez echoed those concerns, pointing out that the court had taken the matter seriously enough to require Vice President Duterte and other respondents to issue formal replies. The Makabayan Bloc, for its part, said it would refile its petition before the High Court, arguing that the Senate's action undermines constitutional checks and shields powerful officials from scrutiny.
Very much concerned talaga, disconcerting, at hindi na naman nga po ako nakatulog. Ang hindi po namin maintindihan kung bakit pinilit nilang may archive. Bakit sila nagmamadali?
Nakakahiya. Nakakahiya ang desisyon ng Senado. The Senate decided to become a Duterte Senate.
And to provide insights into the Senate's move to archive the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte, we have retired Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. Justice, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning to our viewers.
Right.
All right, Justice, dami ng comments naglalabasan, but yesterday we also spoke to Attorney Monsod and he did say that he feels na may overreach ang Supreme Court. Do you, sir, share the same sentiment?
Yes, because, well, first of all, let's go to the glaring factual errors. No?
Right.
Sabi ng Korte Suprema that there was no plenary approval of the transmittal of the fourth complaint to the Senate. There was actually a plenary approval. And because of that, they have to reconsider, because that was the reason why they said the fourth complaint is unconstitutional, because there was no plenary approval, but there was. So they have to reconsider. Second, they retroactively applied the new requirements. But on February 5, 2025, these new requirements did not exist, and the House approved the fourth complaint based on Francisco and Gutierrez rulings of the Supreme Court. It was in accordance with the decisions of the Supreme Court at the time. So now the Supreme Court is saying the action on February 5, 2025, even if it complied with our rulings, then is unconstitutional. Hindi pwede yan. You cannot retroact, because the rule is, if the new regulations will conflict with your decisions before, you must apply your new regulations prospectively.
Right.
Because the House was not at fault. They just followed the Constitution.
Right.
They just followed the Supreme Court. How can you fault them?
Oh, and we're talking
So
about
if you fault them,
right.
that is violation of due process. Because due process means before you can be accountable for an action, you must have been informed of the law or the rule.
That's right.
Right. 'Cause-
That information is either constructive or actual constructive, but if it is published in the official gazette, whether you read it or not, you're bound by that. Or if you are actually given notice, the law or regulation was handed down to you. But in this case, the new rules never existed. They couldn't have known it constructively or actually. So they cannot be bound by that. It will be very unfair to retroact it. And that's why there is this doctrine of prospective overturning.
That's
right. Oh, that's why.
Decisions of the Supreme Court should be prospective, because if you give it effect, it will clash with your old doctrines, your old rulings. Ito yun. It should be given prospective effect. But ang posisyon namin sa isang bayan, you cannot even give it retroactive effect, a prospective effect, because it will practically kill the impeachment process. Because sinasabi nila, there should be a hearing at the plenary level. But at the plenary level, it says there, from the time you include the impeachment complaint in the order of business, you must refer it within 3 session days to the Committee on Justice.
Right.
So you have only 3 session days. How can you have to notify the person being impeached? He will have to answer in writing, and he will present witnesses, evidence. Hindi kaya within 3 session days. So it's practically impossible to comply. Doon naman sa second mode, when at least 1/3 of the members of the House sign the articles of impeachment, sabi ng Constitution, the same shall constitute the articles of impeachment, and trial by the Senate shall forthwith proceed. Walang time given to a hearing. and
Yes.
in the House. Diretso sa Senate because that is where the hearing will be conducted sa trial. Now, if you require a hearing at the plenary level for the second mode of impeachment, how many days? You cannot exceed more than 3 session days. You have to be symmetrical with the first mode. But hindi rin kaya talaga 3 session days. And that was never the intention in the Estrada and Corona impeachments,
Yes.
which were direct filing by at least 1/3. There was no hearing at the plenary level.
Oh, Justice, you raised so many good points po, no? But I want to also take on yung sinasabi po nila dun sa Supreme Court na they made specific 7 rules after this ruling, at July 2025 ruling, na sinasabi po nila dapat hindi nila ginawa yun because dapat po ang Supreme Court just interpret the laws. Tama po ba yun?
Well, tama yun because it's very clear. Under the second mode, nakalagay doon, once at least 1/3 of the members of the House signed a resolution on impeachment, nakalagay, and I quote, "The same shall constitute the articles of impeachment and trial by the Senate shall forthwith proceed."
That's right.
End of quote. So, there's nothing there. It's very simple. And that has been followed in the Corona and Estrada impeachments. They sent it directly. Walang hearing sa plenary, and even in the deliberations in the CONCOM, walang hearing. If you read it, it's very clear. Walang hearing. And the Filipino version of the Constitution says yung forthwith means agad-agad. So, agad-agad means wala nang hearing, diretso mo na, because that is where the hearing will be conducted in the Senate. Dahil, i-duplicate mo The Senate will do that anyway. Why will you do it in the House? It's the trial shall be in the Senate.
Pero Justice, follow up ko lang po, no? Having said that po ba, magkakaroon po ba ng kumbaga pagbabago doon sa mga previous impeachment cases natin, yung isang attempt to kay former President Estrada and kay late Justice Corona?
Well, that's already settled. Tapos na yung term nila. Tapos ng term ni Estrada, and CJ Corona has died already. So physically it cannot be
but on the record
it cannot be revived anymore. But theoretically, if you talk legally, dapat you also give them the benefit, no? That if you retroact this, void din yung impeachment nila.
Right.
That's right. Justice, no, also si Senator Tito Soto pointed out that one of the bases of the Supreme Court was probably a misunderstanding of adjournment from CND adjournment. He pointed out in his interpellation and his speech that kala ng Supreme Court siguro when the adjournment was used on February 5, it was a CND adjournment. Which it's not. In fact, it was just a regular adjournment na hindi dapat ma-terminate yung mga agenda nila.
That's correct.
Correct, Justice?
That's correct. It was not a CDD adjournment, so nakalagay doon sa saligang batas from the time you include the impeachment in the order of business, you have 3 session days to refer it to the Committee on Justice.
Yes.
In-include nila on the 10th day. So within, sabi ng Supreme Court, that's still within the 10 session days. So they adjourned on that day. But since it's not sine die, there are still session days after that.
Yes.
Therefore, yung may 3 days pa sila to refer it to the Committee on Justice. So mali yung sinabi na when they adjourned on February 25, the 1-year bar rule applied already. Hindi, because based on the Constitution, you still have 3 session days to submit it. So tama si Senator Soto. It was not a sine die adjournment.
Alright. Let's talk about what happened at the Senate the other day, yung kanilang pag-archive ng impeachment case ni VP Sara Duterte. What's your reaction on that?
Well, the archiving means it's not dismissed. So if it is not dismissed, the Supreme Court cannot say the pending MR is academic or moot. And therefore, the Supreme Court cannot dismiss the pending MR based on mootness. That's the consequence. Dahil ang original position nila Marcoleta, the group of Marcoleta, was to dismiss.
Yes.
Right.
No? If it were dismissed,
Then that's dead.
the MR would have been dismissed also because moot na eh.
Yes.
Dinismiss na ng Senado. But since the Senate archived it only, the case in the Supreme Court, the MR, is still alive.
So okay lang po sa inyo yung ginawa nila, better than yung motion po ni Senator Dito Soto, which is to table.
Well, pareho naman yung effect. But that is definitely infinitely better than a dismissal.
All right.
Justice, I'd like to ask you about the comments of Senate President Escudero, who slammed most of the retired justices about saying parang it didn't please their narrative daw, kaya nagsasalita ngayon. Sa panahon daw ni Chief Justice Davide, most of them were against moving forward with the impeachment because of the same technicalities or issues that were hounding them today. Pero ngayon, when it suits, when it's a different name daw, Duterte ang nakalagay, biglang saying na dapat ituloy. Si Justice Ascuna has said, iba ang kwento, because sa panahon daw ni Davide, it's Committee on Justice dumaan daw doon. Dito was a different story. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, tama si Justice Adolf. Iba yung facts, no? That doon sa kay Davide, in the Francisco case, the plenary referred the impeachment complaint to the Committee on Justice. Umabot.
Okay.
So there was initiation.
Yes.
And the one-year bar applied. And after the one-year bar applied, dumating yung resolution ng House signed by one-third. So barred na.
Okay.
Alright.
Dito, ang nangyari, wala namang umabot sa Committee on Justice because this is a direct filing.
Yes.
So iba. And that's why we are now in the Supreme Court. The Sambayan, of which I am chair, we filed a petition for intervention to precisely defend the ruling of the Supreme Court in Francisco and Gutierrez, na yun ang tama.
So yun nga po, you asked the SC to allow you to become a party to the case through a motion for intervention. How does this work? And yung pong inyo pong tanong din po sa Supreme Court to preserve yung status quo to prevent the Senate from taking concrete actions, yan po ay moot and academic na at this point. Tama po ba?
Again?
Apo. You asked for the Senate to preserve yung status quo along with your motion also to become a party to the case through a motion for intervention. How does this work po?
Well, the Senate already acted, not the
Yes, so
archive, but it did not dismiss, so it's still okay.
Okay.
And our intervention has not yet been granted. We're waiting for the Supreme Court to act on it.
All right, with that, we would like to thank you on your time. Maraming salamat po. We hope we can still invite you again kasi I'm sure malaki-laki at mahaba-haba po itong usapin na ito. Thank you so much for your time and insights, retired Senior Associate Justice
also.
Antonio Carpio.
After speculations on her whereabouts, Vice President Sara Duterte appeared in Davao City. There, she finally broke her silence on the Senate's move to archive her impeachment case. Here's the report.
Vice President Sara Duterte attended the Thanksgiving Mass at San Pedro Church in Davao City on Thursday. This is part of the Kadayawan Festival celebration this month. There, the Vice President said the Senate's decision to archive her impeachment case should be respected.
I wanted a bloodbath, meaning I wanted all the pieces of evidence from the prosecution and all the pieces of evidence from the defense presented for everyone. But unfortunately, wala na siya. So possibly, wala ta kibalo, 2026, 2027, 2028, na ay mga mag-file na po og impeachment. That will be another opportunity to answer.
On Senator Alan Peter Cayetano's statement that if people really wanted VP Sara removed, they should just defeat her in the 2028 elections. This was the Vice President's response.
Well, yes, ang mga senators na sila kaugalingon po nila na mga stand and opinion, and we should respect each manifestation and stand sa ato ang mga senators.
According to the Vice President, her father, former President Duterte, was pleased with the Supreme Court decision declaring her impeachment case unconstitutional.
Tinawagan siya ng kanyang lawyer at ibinalita sa kanya na nanalo siya sa Supreme Court case, na mag-relax daw siya for one day. Hindi daw siya mag-meetings at hindi siya mag-physical therapy dahil gusto niya daw i-enjoy yung moment na nanalo yung kaso sa Supreme Court.
Vice President Sara Duterte also held a Thanksgiving celebration together with her legal team and petitioners advocating for the dismissal of her impeachment case. Davao City councilors also attended the gathering. The Vice President's final engagement on Thursday was a meeting with barangay captains inside Davao City Hall. She was scheduled to fly back to Manila last night.
Now let's get more updates from Davao. We have News 5 correspondent Bril Montalvo joining us now live on the ground. Bril, kumusta? What else did VP Sara say yesterday?
Yes, Angela, sunod-sunod nga ang naging aktibidad kahapon ni Vice President Sara Duterte dito nga sa Davao City in celebration sa 40th Karewan Festival dito nga sa Davao City. Matapos ang kanyang mga naging aktibidad ay pumunta din siya at nakipag-usap sa mga Davaoenyo doon nga sa Rizal Park kagabi. At doon ay nakipaghalubilo ang VP at nagbigay siya ng mga mensahe at pasasalamat sa mga Davaoenyo sa patuloy na pagsuporta nito sa kanilang pamilya, sa pamilya Duterte. At sabi nga ni VP Sara sa kanyang mga naunang interview, sabi niya na ngayong araw, August 8, ay pupunta siya ng Kuwait para makipag-usap sa mga Filipino community roon. Pero wala pa tayong kumpirmasyon kung natuloy nga ba si VP Sara ngayong araw sa pagpunta sa Kuwait. Kasi nga kagabi, matapos sa kanyang activity dito sa lungsod, ay bumalik siya dyan sa Maynila. Angela.
Yes, Bril, given na yung impeachment case is archived pending a motion for reconsideration, Senator Erwin Tulfo did issue a challenge to VP Sara na kahit naka-archive, I challenge you na ilabas mo or sagot mo yung mga issues na ipukol sa'yo para matapos na ito. Meron bang response si VP Sara dito?
I think even si Senator Lito Lapid,
also
issue din siya ng statement regarding that. Go ahead, Bril.
Sa isang ambush interview kay VP Sara ay sinabi niya na bagamat na archive nga itong impeachment case laban sa kanya sa Senado ay willing pa rin siya na depensahan at linisin ang kanyang pangalan, pero hindi sa panahong ito kundi sa mga susunod na taon or sa takdang panahon. Kasi nga sa nagdesisyon na ang Korte Suprema na unconstitutional at nagdesisyon na rin ang mayorya ng Senado na i-archive itong impeachment. So maghihintay na lang umano si VP Sara sa tamang panahon kung kailan niya ipapahayag ang kanyang mga depensa kaugnay nitong kanyang kinahaharap na mga issues sa confidential funds at iba pa.
That's right, Bril. No? Pero I think is the Vice President aware that oo nga, unconstitutional yung proseso ng complaints, but lininaw po ng Korte Suprema na hindi ibig sabihin nito they are acquitting the Vice President of any wrongdoing, but she still has to be held accountable daw. So does any member of her team want to reply to that?
Alam mo, Angelo, sinabi nga din mismo ni VP Sara bagamat na archive nga itong kanyang impeachment complaint ngayong taon ay willing pa rin siya or bukas pa rin ang kanilang kampo na sa mga posibilidad na magsasampa pa rin ng another impeachment case
Yes,
ito nga kritiko niya or mga ito nga kalaban ng kanilang pamilya sa mga susunod na taon, whether 2026, 2027, or 2028, handa pa rin ang defense team ni VP Sara sa anumang impeachment case na naman na isasampa sa kanya.
Alright, meron ka bang balita kung kailan siya babalik ng The Hague to visit her father?
Alam mo, Angela, marami din siyang mga event next week sa Karayawan Festival, sa mga highlights sa Karayawan Festival next week. So most probably babalik dito ang Vice President. At ayun nga sa nakuha natin sa ating source, most probably na by next month babalik sa The Hague si VP Sara.
Alright.
Alright, thank you for that. News 5 correspondent Bril Montalvo reporting live from Davao City. Thank you, Bril.
Kailan kaya yung tamang panahon?
I wanted to ask Sana, pero I wanted to ask para kung nandun,
di, nagtatanong
nung
kasi.
sa Davao, kung nandun si Hanilet.
Kasi...
Kasi, di ba, yung issue din on the property and stuff.
Kinonfirm naman ni VP Sara na tungkol dun sa pagbisita niya sa The Hague, hindi rin siya po pwede dun si Hanilet. No?
Oo.
Okay, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on WA News. The Department of Justice is now seeking assistance from the University of the Philippines Anthropology and Forensic Pathology departments to conduct DNA analysis on bones recovered from Taal Lake. This comes after the PNP said that no DNA was obtained from the recovered bones due to prolonged exposure to water, possibly leading to contamination. Between July 19 and August 4, authorities recovered skulls, teeth, fragments of spine and ribs, along with several personal items, including clothing. To date, more than 20 families have submitted their DNA samples. The DOJ encourages others, including those who previously withdrew from the case, to do the same.
The Secretary still believes, especially with the teeth, lalo na po yung buhok, na pwede pa natin to ma-DNA. We would like to get the best experts, the best minds, the best technology for us to be able to get to the bottom of this.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is finalizing new rules requiring e-wallets to impose stricter controls on online gambling payments. The measures include biometric checks, daily transfer limits, time-based restrictions, and tools for users to set personal spending caps. These aim to curb addiction, fraud, and financial harm. Globe CFO Carlo Puno said GCash will roll out new features such as self-exclusion options and customizable top-up limits. He added that users can even choose to block gaming activities temporarily or permanently. Tof Rada, head of corporate affairs of Maya, said they also committed to introducing the added controls and friction.
President Bongbong Marcos defended the absence of online gambling in his recent State of the Nation address, saying the government is still crafting a policy on the issue. Here's the report.
President Bongbong Marcos faced criticism for omitting online gambling in his fourth State of the Nation address. In his latest podcast, he explained that the government has yet to formulate a clear policy on the issue. He plans to meet with stakeholders, including members of the clergy, to discuss possible regulations.
We still have to form the policy on what we are going to do about online gambling. And to this end, I have already started to organize to convene a conference of those who are all the stakeholders. We are talking about marami tayong naririnig from the CBCP. So, sama natin sila.
Marcos noted that online gambling should not be equated with Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs, which have been linked to criminal activity. He said the main concerns with online gambling involve addiction, unmanageable debt, and youth exposure.
With online gambling in general, what is the problem we're trying to solve? What we're trying to solve is that hindi malubog sa utang ang wala namang kaya, pero napapasubo dahil sa sugal. Mga bata na natututo magsugal. Let's focus on that. Paano natin patitigilin yan? These are the things that we're going to examine, and we will come up with a plan to make sure that we address the problem.
On transportation, President Marcos highlighted efforts to finally deploy the Dalian trains, which have been unused for a decade due to compatibility issues. He also touted the country's first subway project, which he said will help shorten commute times and modernize mass transit.
Ang usually sa planning, dapat ang commute should not be more going to work at saka pag-uwi. Dapat hindi yung one way hindi dapat lumampas sa 1 oras. That's the goal.
On digitalization, Marcos promoted the eGov app, which connects Filipinos to key government services in a more streamlined and accessible way. Marcos said he's personally backing the initiative, stressing that digital literacy is now a basic life skill every Filipino must have.
Digitalization is not only for business, for education. It's absolutely imperative now that children know how to use a computer. They know how to use the internet, and they know how to do work on the internet. Hindi na pwedeng hindi. It's not an option anymore.
President Bongbong Marcos is wrapping up his 5-day state visit to India. For the latest, let's bring in mobile journalist Julie Baiza reporting live from Bengaluru. Julie, tell us more about yung agenda ni Presidente.
Diego, huling araw na nga ng 5 araw na state visit ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos dito sa India. Maya-maya lang abangan natin kasi haharap sa kapihan sa atin sa media ang Pangulo para iulat kung ano ba yung mga investments o investment pledges na nakuha niya sa mga naging pagpupulong dito. Kahapon lumahok ang Pangulo sa Philippine-India Business Forum dito sa Bengaluru. 18 agreements ang nilagdaan ng Pilipinas at mga kumpanya dito na may kaugnay sa renewable energy, information technology, healthcare, IT at manufacturing. Sa talumpati, ibinida niya yung lumalagong ekonomiya ng bansa, pati yung pagpapatupad ng mga polisiya o patakaran na makapagpapadali sa mga negosyante na magproseso ng dokumento at negosyo. Sabi ng Pangulo, target niyang gawing trusted, connected at competitive country ang Pilipinas sa Indo-Pacific region. Matapos yan, nagkaroon din siya ng high-level one-on-one meeting sa mga business leaders. Kabilang dyan yung Ison Tower na planong mamuhunan sa digital infrastructure sa bansa. Nariyan din ang Nefro Plus na plano naman tugunan or tulungan ng Pilipinas na palawakin ng healthcare system. Sa ulat ng Pangulo sa kapihan, inaasahan natin na magbibigay siya ng halaga ng mga nakuhang investment pledges sa 5 araw na state visit. Hindi lang yan, Diego, Angela, dito sa Bengaluru, kundi sa naging mga pagpupulong din niya sa business leaders sa New Delhi.
Yeah. Julie, well, every time naman president goes to another country, pagbalik binibida yung mga investment pledges from the country that they visited. But my question right now, meron ba tayo nakikitang concrete or target date na kung kailan makukuha mismo, magiging fruitful yung investment pledges na coming from India?
Angela, sa ngayon kasi fluid pa kasi yung iba dito sa mga agreements na nilagdaan dito sa Bengaluru, mga letter of intent siya. So expansion lang ng mga kumpanya na existing na meron ng puhunan dyan sa Pilipinas. Yung iba naman, iniuulat yan ng mga concerned government agency. For example, kung may kaugnayan sa infrastructure, ang follow-up na nitong mga investment pledges na to with Department of DPWH and DOTR na sila na yung nag-uulat na yung pledges ng Pangulo naka-generate siya ng certain, for example, 10,000 jobs doon sa sector na yon. So parang ganoon yung nagiging flow. Wala siyang specific na date kung kailan magsisimula o kung kailan na mamumuhunan yung mga ito. Kasi again, yung iba nga letter of intent lang naman.
Pero meron ba tayong nakuhang statement, any statement from PBBM doon sa mga nangyayaring political issues here in the country? Specifically, yung recent decision ng Senado doon sa pag-archive ng impeachment case ni VP Sara.
Angela, yun yung itatanong ko sa Pangulo dito sa mangyayaring
antayin pa
kapihan
natin. Antayin pa. Any more schedules na pagbisita niya sa iba pang mga Filipino community dyan?
Actually, yung PhilCom kasi nung first day sa New Delhi siya nangyari. Dito sa Bengaluru, wala na tayong PhilCom kahapon. Talagang business meetings at saka yung business forum lang yung kanyang schedule. Ngayong araw naman, pagkatapos itong kapihan, pupunta na kami para lumipad na pabalik ng bansa. Alas 8 dyan yung inaasahang paglapag namin. Alas 8 ng gabi.
Alright, mag-iingat kayo dyan. Maraming salamat, mobile journalist Julie Baiza reporting from Bengaluru, India.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on the One News.
2 students are in critical condition after a shooting inside a classroom in Santa Rosa, Nueva Ecija. Police identified the gunman as alias Leo, 18 years old. He allegedly shot his former girlfriend, alias Leah, 15, before turning the gun on himself. Investigators say Leo entered Leah's classroom, pulled her from her seat, and shot her in the neck. A .22 caliber pistol was recovered, and authorities are looking into how the suspect managed to get past school security.
Yung victim at suspect ay parehong nasa ospital. Nasa latest information po natin ay medyo hindi pa rin maganda ang kalagayan, nasa critical condition pa rin po.
Teachers group is urging the hiring of more guidance counselors and reducing overcrowding in classrooms. They say these issues may be among the reasons why the problem of bullying in schools remains unresolved. Para bigyan ng mukha ang balita, Mobile Journal, Evan Tarinque.
Hindi pa rin natatapos ang issue ng bullying sa loob ng eskwelahan. May updated na implementing rules and regulation para sa Anti-Bullying Act. Pero, sapat na nga ba ito para tuldukan ang problema? Taong 2013 pa noong unang naipasa ang Anti-Bullying Act. Pero makalipas sa higit 10 taon, problema pa rin ang bullying sa pagitan ng mga estudyante. Pero ngayong 2025, naglabas ng Revised Implemented Rules and Regulation o IRR para sa batas na ito. Sa revisions, kabilang ang school-wide prevention and early intervention programs, defined responsibilities for school heads, teachers, parents or guardian and students, at clear protocols for addressing, resolving and appealing complaints. Pagamat welcome ito para sa ilang sektor, babala pa rin ng ilang grupo. Mas malaking issue ang implementation ng batas.
Ay hindi nakikita sa IR saan ba nanggagaling talaga no yung problema ng bullying at nagsisimula yon sa kalagayan mismo sa loob ng paaralan.
Kaya sinusulong na Alliance of Concerned Teachers sa Department of Education ang tinatawag nilang structural reforms, mas maliit na class size, at mas maraming guidance counselor at support staff. Sa ngayon, ayon sa Act, nasa national average na 1 guidance counselor per 14,000 students sa Pilipinas. Malayong-malayo sa international recommendation na 1 counselor sa bawat 250 estudyante. Para sa maraming paaralan dito sa bansa, normal na raw ang may 50 hanggang 60 estudyante sa isang classroom. At dahil sa puno ang mga silid-aralan, sa datos na EDCOM2, ilang libong estudyante ang nakakaranas na ng physical, social at pati na rin cyberbullying.
Ang classroom management pa lamang ay talaga mahihirapan na yung advisor, no? Kapag ikaw mismo yung estudyante na medyo nagdidikitan kayo, no? Medyo nagkikiskisan kayo, andyan yung harutan.
Kung kulang ang mga guidance counselor at support staff, ang umakakuraw ng trabahong ito ay mismong mga guro na dapat ay nakatuon sa pagtuturo.
Pagdating sa mga guidance advices, ang kaya lang namin ay yung nakuha lang namin na ilang mga training na hindi sapat.
Malinaw na ang hamon sa pagtugon sa bullying ay hindi lamang issue ng batas o polisiya, kundi ang pag-aayos ng sistema sa ating mga paaralan at ang wastong paggabay ng magulang sa kanilang mga anak. Mobile Journal Ivan Tarinque po hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Alright. So alam natin na napakarami ng problema sa education sector at isa nga itong problema na ito na dapat din tignan because we've been talking about this here on the show, diba, dito sa News and Views, yung tungkol dun sa issue ng kakulangan ng mga guidance counselors sa mga eskwelahan.
And we haven't even resolved the issue nga of bullying on campus or physical bullying. Eh, meron ngayon bagong form of bullying which is yung online cyberbullying. So, ang question dito is kung matugunan natin ang mga guidance counselors ratio na pagandahin natin, are these guidance counselors now trained to even handle cyberbullying? Kasi iba ang cyberbullying sa physical bullying.
Yes, totoo yan. Lalo pa ngayon, ang dami mga nasa internet na. Pero yun nga, no, according dun sa report natin, 1:250. So, 1 guidance counselor to 250 students.
Would you imagine?
And while we understand na hindi sabay-sabay na may nagkakaroon ng problema, but then again, yung ratio, alam natin na hindi fair yun. Diba? Talagang merong kakulangan doon sa area na yun. At saka, if I can remember it correctly, yung ibang mga balita natin dito before, ang mga tumata yung parang guidance counselor na lang in absence of the real ones, 'di ba? Yung mga teachers din na on the other hand, marami na rin silang ginagawa, 'di ba? Yung of course yung lesson plan sila, tapos yung mga administrative work nila, 'di ba? Managing all the students that they handle. So talagang nakikita natin ito na isa sa mga problema na dapat tugunan din ng Department of Education. Also, yung kaninang report natin, paano nakalusot, 'di ba, dun sa security ng school. Meron ba talagang security dun sa school? Do you want to
Meron
know
na yan,
that?
may resolution na yan. Na may report na lumabas dyan na yung security ng school apparently hindi sila not equipped, but they're not registered security guards. Hindi sila formally trained. So therefore, since they are
Tingin-tingin lang ng ganon.
they are not official kasi if you're not registered, hindi ka pwedeng mangkap-kap. Diba? There's a ruling na kailangan trained ka, certified ka. They are not certified. So therefore, hindi sila pinapayagan mangkap-kap. So parang kumbaga dadaan ka lang, buksan mo yung bag mo, tapos ikaw pa magbubukas for them. So hindi sila nagkap-kap. So therefore, nakalusot
Kaya
daw yung barel. May interview na kasi yung mga guards
And this is not the first time na nangyari to. There are other provinces also dito sa atin. Napapabalita din dito sa atin sa program natin na, 'di ba, yung bata may dalang patalim, sinaksak yung mga kaklase, no? So isa pa 'yan sa nakikita din natin na dapat tugunan aside from all other problems na kinakaharap ng education sector. All right, let's go to our report now for the weather. The low pressure area within the Philippine territory has developed into a tropical depression named Fabian. As of 8 a.m., Fabian was seen some 145 kilometers west of Sinait, Ilocos Sur. It is expected to exit the Philippine Area Responsibility in the next 24 hours. Meanwhile, another tropical cyclone is expected to enter PAR by Sunday or Monday. As of this morning, Tropical Storm Podul remains far from the Philippine landmass. The two weather systems have no direct impact on any part of the country. Habagat, though, continues to affect Palawan and the entire Visayas and Mindanao. Other areas may also experience rains due to localized thunderstorms. So, kung ito yung dalawa, most probably, kasi nung 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, a week ago, sabi nila 17 pa, yung asahan natin na papasok na mga weather systems dito sa Philippine Air Responsibility. So, if this is 2, minus mga 15 pa until January 2026.
If you remember, every Christmas, the week before Christmas, laging may malalaking bagyo na cause havoc to other provinces. Mostly kasi sa southern areas na by December.
Yeah, I remember yung natin, yung Typhoon Yolanda, 'di ba, years ago, 2013 if I'm not mistaken, December 8.
Yeah, but para to expound more on this, we have with us a weather specialist, Benison Estareja. Benison?
Yes po, good morning po.
So Benison, although mukhang may improvement as compared to a few weeks ago yung weather natin, may titignan ba tayong possible weather disturbances in the next few weeks?
Well, sa ngayon po, meron na actually itong ating minomonitor po na low pressure area as of 8 in the morning. Dito sa West Philippines ay naging tropical depression Fabian, pero inaasahan din po na lalayo ito ng mabagal sa ating kalupaan, and possible by tomorrow early morning po ay nakalabas na ito ng ating PAR. So kung babasihan po natin yung ating latest satellite animation, is wala namang direct effect at maliit lamang itong si Bagyong Fabian. Samantala yung isa naman po, si Tropical Storm Podul, international name po ito, ay posibleng pumasok naman ng ating area of responsibility pagsapit po ng Sunday evening or Monday morning. At ito naman yung papangalanan po natin na Goryo, o yung magiging second na bagyo for the month of August. Yung nakikita nating movement nitong si Bagyong Podul sa ngayon, pa westward, and possibly pagpasok niya ng PAR, kikilos po siya westward pa rin or moving towards extreme northern Luzon. So most likely, maapektuhan yung outer cloud bands, itong extreme northern Luzon pa rin by middle of next week. And hindi pa rin natin inaalis yung chance po na magkaroon ng paghila ng habagat. Pero yung enhancement po sa ngayon, for this Bagyong Podul is mababa pa naman po.
But Benison, speaking of habagat, napansin nga natin medyo may paghina siya in this past weeks. Anong dahilan nito? And asahan ba natin na lalakas ulit ang habagat? Kailan ba matatapos ang habagat?
Yes, naging kakaiba po yung behavior ng habagat natin for now at sa mga susunod na araw as compared po nung buwan ng Hulyo, dahil nga during that time kasi napaka-active po ng ating Pacific Ocean, napakaraming mga cloudiness, moist ang ating hangin sa paligid ng Philippines. So yung tendency po natin is magkaroon talaga ng maraming kaulapan dulot po ng habagat, plus in-enhance po ito ng mga bagyo. nagkaroon tayo ng 4 na bagyo noong July. But for now po, yung behavior ng ating mga weather system so far, hindi pa siya kalakasan. Tapos medyo tuyo yung hangin relative to last month. Pero possible pa rin po for the latter half of August is magkaroon ulit tayo ng malahabagat po ng mga pag-ulan.
Kailan yung pasok naman ng amihan?
Yung amihan naman po is November pa naman. Tapos posibleng siya mag-last up until April, March po. March.
So pagpasok nito ng amihan, Benison, sa November, do we expect ang pag-behavior ng pag-ulan mag-iba? Lalalaba yung, volume ng rain or what do we expect?
Yes, iba po yung behavior ng ulan kapag meron tayong amihan season. Kapag habagat po kasi usually yung mga nasa kanlurang parte po ng Luzon, Visayas and Mindanao yung magkakaroon ng mas malalakas po at madalas na ulan. But during the amihan season, nag-i-start po yan November dito sa may Northern Luzon. So maulan po dito sa may Cagayan Valley. And then pagsapit po ng December and January, dyan na bumababa po yung ating tinatawag na shear line or yung banggaan po ng amihan at ng easterlies. Kaya mas malalakas po yung mga pag-ulan dito sa Eastern Luzon naman po and Eastern Visayas.
Benison, ngayon we're entering the bare months, no? Like September na in just a few weeks. Ang tanong ko dito is, pagpalo ng bare months na ito, saan karamihan tumatama ang mga bagyo? Are we looking at the north or southern areas?
For August, September, and October, medyo mataas pa po yung tinatrack nyo ng mga bagyo natin na pumapasok ng Parno. Usually po dito sa may Luzon. But then pagsapit po ng November up until January, possible na mas bumaba pa ito. Minsan bumababa ito dito sa may Eastern Visayas and then Caraga region. Then tatawirin po yung Visayas, Palawan area. Kaya mas delikado kumpara nitong panahon ng tag-ulan, mas delikado kung ang pag-uusapan natin ay yung landfalling ng mga bagyo tuwing last 2 months po ng year na to.
Oo. Mas mas mahangin, kumbaga. Tama ba? Or
ramdam yung epekto ng hangin at saka po yung ulan.
So does it follow ba, Benison, pag mas mataas ang storm signal, pag mas malakas ang hangin, mas mahina ang ulan dahil parang pinapalo ng hangin daw yung rain droplets bago tumama sa ground?
Yung basihan po ng kalakasan or kahinaan ng bagyo talaga is hangin. So kapag sabihin natin na mahina ang bagyo, mahina yung hangin. Pero pag malakas yung bagyo, such as typhoons and super typhoon, malakas po yung dala niya na hangin. Regardless po yan sa dami ng ulan na ibubuhos nito. No? So merong mga tropical depression lamang or mahinang bagyo na malakas po ang dinadalang ulan. No? Whereas for super typhoon and typhoon, most likely po malakas talaga yung dala-dala nitong ulan.
Benison, last question na on my end. Yung sa mga areas natin dito sa bansa na talagang tinamaan ng malalakas ng ulan this past weeks, since June, July, kasama na nga ang Metro Manila, meron ba silang time na, kasi until now, baha pa rin no? So may time ba na makapag-subside yung mga baha, hindi mo nauulanin yung mga areas na yon?
Kung ang pag-uusapan po natin is may experience ba ulit nila yung naranasan nila in the past few weeks, then at least po in the coming weeks po, at least in the next 2 weeks, hindi naman po. No? We're seeing na mas iiral po yung magandang panahon and then meron lamang mga isolated na ulan. Kung meron mang mga habagat, hindi naman po siya nagpa-persist ng few days, no? Usually mga 1 or 2 days.
Salamat naman.
Like 2 weeks ago, nag-persist siya ng 1 linggo, Benison.
Yes, more than a week.
So may improvement na. Thank you, Lord.
Para may time
that.
for recovery,
Yeah,
Kasi grabe din yung mga nasalanta ng bagyo. With that, maraming salamat sa iyong oras, our weather specialist, Benison Estarehan. Or Pag-asa's weather specialist.
May pag-asa. Galing sa pag-asa. Uy, it's Friday today at dahil Friday pala ngayon, meron tayong goodies from Buddha's Belly.
Thank you, Marjorie. Always every Friday. Thank God
favorite
it's
si
Friday.
Angel ang pinapadala.
Alam na kung sino favorite ni Marjorie.
Si Auntie Marjorie. By the way, this was thank you for joining us this whole week. It was a very
eventful.
Not stressful, but nail-biting week for the country, di ba? We
Historical.
saw the Senate.
Kasi this will be, yung nangyari sa Senate will be a precedent.
In essence, parang nangyari daw is the Constitution, not the Constitution, but certain precedents were amended. Diba? So hindi na siya, nag-iba na ang ihip ng hangin. So let's see, meron pa tayong motion for reconsideration for the impeachment issue, but in the meantime, we just have to wait. What happens, definitely sa weekend wala mangyayari, no?
Sana.
Hindi, wala naman. Kasi wala naman pasok ang Supreme Court sa weekend.
Yes, but hindi natin alam sa ibang balita.
Wala rin session ng ano. So we're just hoping...
You have to remember yung mga balita minsan nangyayari sa weekend.
We're hoping for a peaceful weekend, please. Yun lang naman. Kasi yung weather nag-i-improve let's hope for a peaceful weekend naman, di ba? Para makapag-bonding naman with the family members this week. Hoy, before I let... may sasabihin ka ba? Wala na?
Wala. Go ahead.
Okay. Before I let everyone go, I'd like to leave a quote for everyone, for politicians, for mommy, daddy, di ba? Or, a quote that hopefully that you could think about as the weekend goes by. However good a However good a constitution may be, if those who are implementing it are not good, it will prove to be bad. However bad a constitution may be, if those implementing it are good, then it will prove to be good. This is a quote from the founding fathers of the United States Constitution. Hindi nakadefine kung sino, basta sinabi to ng founding fathers of the US. It doesn't matter anong klaseng constitution meron ka, kung yung mga taong...
Implementation.
Yung mga tao sa gilid mo ay bulok din ang magiging constitution. Yun lang ang alalanin yung mga nanonood, ha? Okay? And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again on Monday. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all
Happy
sides.
weekend. Stay safe.